So welcome to the first sales call training for Sales Automation Society. Just wondering where everyone's tuning in from.
Don't be shy, guys. Don't be shy.
Manchester. I'm a Man United fan, so hopefully you are too. Leeds. We don't like Leeds. No, I'm joking. But they get into the semi-finals of the FA Cup there, so sure you're not complaining. So yeah, just wanted to give a quick context of what we're doing for this sales call. So we're looking at the recruitment niche, and we're going to be acting as a connector between recruitment companies and companies that are actively hiring. We identify businesses with open roles, then introduce the recruitment company to agencies who have the right candidates to fill those positions. So that is the overall aim of the connector angle. So for example, for this sales call, we're going to be doing an IT recruitment company. So how the process actually works from scratch to get onto a sales call. We scrape email addresses from CEOs, CTOs, founders, CFOs, high C-suite roles of recruitment companies, and then send an outbound email campaign offering intros to companies who are hiring. The CEOs from the recruitment company will reply to your email saying, yes, they want some intros, and we'll get into the email copy in a second. And then that's where you book them on to a sales call, which we're doing now. So the prospect of the sales call, for example, as I said, we're doing the IT recruitment company. So you'll be on call with the CEO or the high C-suite roles of an IT recruitment company. And what they have is they have a bench of candidates. So for example, with the IT recruitment company, you'll have data engineer roles, BI engineers, software engineers, and so forth. And their core problem is they struggle to place their candidates because they can't get in front of companies that are actively hiring because the market is so crowded. So our value proposition on the call is we connect you directly to companies that are hiring in your space right now, so your candidates get placed faster. We're not another vendor. We are warm intro service with live and verified hiring demand. So initially, when you send out the email to a recruitment company to get them on call, you use this type of copy. So we're using Ash as an example for this sales call. So it's going to be, hey, Ash, I can introduce you to companies actively hiring your space. This week alone, I've identified 4 tech startups in San Diego looking for software engineers. Recently connected a recruiter to 5 companies hiring these roles, resulted in 2 placements within 30 days. Want me to share intros and details with you? So if we break down this copy just quickly, I can intro you to companies that are actively hiring your space. This leaves curiosity. It's a great opening line. It'll catch the CEO straight away. And then it says, this week alone, I've identified 4 tech startups in San Diego looking for software engineers. Recently connected a recruiter with 5 companies hiring these roles, resulted in 2 placements within 30 days. So it looks like you have intel, it looks like you have connections behind the scenes. It just looks like you're connected overall. And again, leaves that curiosity for the CEO or whoever you're emailing, thinking they must be connected with someone. And then asking eventually to share intros and to share details and intros. So it makes it look like you're opening the door to get them onto a call. So the overall goal of the sales call is to convert CEO from interested into committed. Then in closing the call, we'll be given some pricing strategy examples as well.
All of this really depends also on the kind of client you're working with. For example, the 4 clients that we have right now, one of them is a recruitment client, 2 of them are wealth management, and a third one is also recruitment, but they place people on the ground, and versus these are more remote people as well. So based on their needs, we have to price ourselves to be profitable for them and for ourselves. That's when we ask for a higher percentage of revenue and a lower upfront fee to be in line with his business model as well, or their business model, their business model. Whereas in the case of recruitment, it's not really the case where they would get a lot of recurring revenue from the client after, and they would just get their money once they've placed their person in the company already. So we also work in a similar model where we take more money up front and then nothing afterwards. So it's just about pricing it according to your customers' revenue model and business structure as well.
Yeah, so that's basically how it works anyway. So Ash, let's jump into a sales call training session.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's
uh,
show Angie how it's done.
yeah, yeah. So before you jump into a sales call, it's important to do a 5-minute research about the company before you actually start speaking to them. So let's get started here. So thanks again for jumping on call, Ash. I saw you're based in San Diego. How's the market been there for you recently?
The market's been okay, Sean. It's up and down really, but just hoping to expand from here.
So yeah, you mentioned there it was up and down. So just for a quick question for my understanding, what actually made you jump on the call?
I'll be very frank with you, Sean. I saw your email and you said you can send me intros, so that's what I'm here for.
Yeah, before we get into the intros, just for my understanding, what type of roles makes you the most money and causes you the least amount of headaches? So just a quick pause there, just to see what I did there. So when you look back at the email, I said to Ash, I would give him introductions. So when he asked for introductions, you don't necessarily have introductions right now. You're just trying to get people onto a call to try and close the call basically. So I just quickly changed the narrative and asked them that question. So I immediately have just taken control of the call, and that is something you need to do when you're on a sales call. It is absolutely vital to make sure they don't take control. You want to be looking like the professional and someone who knows what they're doing.
And another thing to keep in mind here is just that why Sean has to do that is because my problem is not just the fact that I don't have access to these intros that Sean talked about. I need access to those intros because something in my system is not working, which is really what you want to sell them anyway. So even if we had intros, it wouldn't be right to just give them that. Instead, what they really need is something to replace simpler intros that they would be getting and give them a system that consistently gives them this stuff, which is what we're actually pitching anyway. So we got to redirect them into the real problem that they're facing, which Sean's going to do now.
So like we'll just go back a bit there and I'll say, what type of roles makes you the most amount of money and causes you the least amount of headaches?
So recently, I think it's been data engineers that we've been placing a lot, and they sort of very easy to place. There's a bunch of them as well. A lot of companies require them. So not too much paperwork on our side either. So I would say those are some of the easiest.
Mm. Yeah, because when I had a look at your website, I saw that you have data engineers and you want to place them with IT companies. So how are you actually filling your pipeline right now? So again, quick pause there. Do you see what I did when he mentioned about data engineers? It was important to make sure you're listening. That's the number one thing in sales as well. You have to make sure everything's contextualized. So when he mentioned about data engineers, that's why it was important that I mentioned at the start of the call to have that 5-minute research about the company, see what type of roles they need filled, what candidates they have. Then when you're on call, they can make everything, you can bring the context into everything. So yeah, Ash, how are you filling your pipeline right now then?
Uh, we run Instagram ads. We have an agency that does that for us, and I think they do it on Facebook as well. But mostly we do get a lot of referrals as well, and those would be more high trusted clients, which we can try and convert easier than the ones we get through these ads. That's what we're doing at the minute.
So are you happy with that?
No, I mean, if I was, I probably wouldn't be here. But
Yeah,
where
you'd be surprised. So how many intros are you currently getting a month then?
we don't get actually any intros a month in the specific way that you've described it. We try and, as I said, code leads to the ads or referrals itself.
Mm, so referrals. So again, a quick pause there. Um, the door is open right now. We've found the pain point. He's saying that he's not currently, getting intros from like a lead gen space. He's just getting them from referrals, which is classic, for a lot of businesses out there. So yeah, we've opened the door. Now we can, start the pitch and almost go for the kill in a sense. So what I would do next is, I'd say, so Ash, this is how our system works is, we connect you with companies that are actively hiring your space. So we act as connectors. We create genuine, warm introductions to your business. We clarify who you want to meet and who your, ICP is. Then we qualify interest and intent before making warm handovers. You only speak with those who are actively hiring. Ash, essentially, we only make introductions when it aligns with your ICP. So again, what we're doing here is essentially we are selling the system to the CEO. Make sure you're trying to sell that system that they want to buy into. So then you would just go through what's included in your system as well. How many qualified intros you could give, strategic support, and and what you would do for a follow-up system. So the next step would be, so based on everything we've covered, does this sound like the kind of system that you're looking for?
I mean, absolutely, it could be. This what we're struggling with right now, and the way that you sort of phrased it might be what we need to get out of the core lead system that we're working, and sort of stop relying on the referrals as much and sort of be a really nice middle ground. So it does sound ideal, Sean.
Yeah, perfect. And as you said before, you mentioned about, data engineers, making you the most amount of money and causing you the least amount of headaches. That's something I can do. I can get you in front of these companies that are hiring data engineer roles and making those warm intros. So your investment would be, a $1,500 setup fee for 3 months. And within that, I'd be able to deliver 2 intros a month at $150 per warm intro.
Yeah, that sounds fair. That sounds fair. But what I'm trying to understand is what the timeline would look for this.
Perfect. So the timeline would be, we'd get an onboarding call after this, and I'd confirm your ICP. And, week one would look like, researching, messaging, campaign setup. And then week 2 to 4, the campaign would be running. And then within the fourth week, then intros would begin rolling in.
Okay. That doesn't sound bad at all.
So if this makes sense, we could get started this week and start building your pipeline. Or if you want to keep relying on referrals and hoping for the best.
Yeah, I think I'm done with that for now. So
Tired of
let's
referrals.
go ahead with your system, Sean, for sure.
Perfect. Well, I can fix up a proposal and get the contract going along with the payment link, and we can get started straight away and start sending them warm intros for you.
Absolutely.
Well, I look forward to doing business with you, Yash.
You too, Sean. This better work out.
Yeah, we'll promise it. We'll promise we'll be able to deliver and make you more money. And so it's a win-win for
Perfect.
everyone.
Perfect. I believe you. I absolutely believe you.
So yeah, in conclusion, this is like it's a very good structure to have. And when you're going through, your pitch, you can almost throw up like a template as well, and you can share your screen. That's another option. For this example, we've just went through it. And I was just kind of going through the proposal I have and the pitch that I have. And yeah, you can share the screen and go through the proposal bit by bit. And that can also really help with selling the system as well. But yeah, just a quick takeaway would be, just make sure you're listening on calls. Like if you have a script and you have that script and you're going through it step by step, and you already have pre-questions that you want to ask, and then they say, for example, we've got data engineers. You don't want to start talking about manufacturing engineers and stuff like that. You want to keep it all within context, So yeah. So within sales calls, you're going to get some objections. It's natural, it will happen on every sales call you get. So the important thing is to not freeze up and be prepared for them. So Ash, you want to ask me an objection?
Yes. So when Sean asked me about, you know, what's your ideal client and stuff like that, sort of moving me away from when I asked him about his initial email. But if I was a very stern client, I just say, I mean, we work with all kinds of clients. What about the intros that you have? When can you share those with me? You know,
Yeah. And yeah, so when he's asking me again, how can you send me the intros, and you obviously don't have them yet, this is the perfect line to veer around it. You can just say, happy to share the intros once we know who you'd want to work with. We don't really do the shotgun intros, so we hold off until there's a fit on both ways. So, you're leaving that door open to make it look like you once you have a connection, then you do the handover. So it's a smooth way to get out of it as well. So originally when they asked to send the intros on, you know, go ask a different question, but then if they come around again, that's how you answer that specific objection.
very well put, Sean. Very well put. And another thing that comes up sort of afterwards, so let's say I'm convinced of the system working and the fact that we're going to get these emails set up, we're going to start these campaigns going. And if I'm a client, I'm sitting there thinking, if he's getting email replies, let's say, if he's getting these warm leads in his inbox and stuff like that, how am I benefiting from that? Or what's the mechanism that's coming to me? And I might be thinking, what if I end up being ghosted? You know, and that's something we've heard very often. So, Sean, how have you
Yeah.
moved the client past that?
Someone asks, what have you ghost? The best way to answer this would be, that's a legit concern. And honestly, if someone did that to you before, I'd be asking the same question. But here's the thing, I can't prove that we won't ghost. I could sit here and promise you, but the guy who ghosted you probably did the same thing on the sales call, right? So instead of trying to convince you with words, let me give you the actual facts of how we work. Firstly, we're not trying to take your money and disappear. You'll see activity within the first 7 to 10 days. We will send target list we are building, the copy we are testing, the infrastructure we're setting up. You'll have visibility into the work. If we were to ghost, we'd have to do this after a bunch of work, which makes absolutely no sense at all. Secondly, this is our entire business model, which depends on repeat clients and referrals. If we take your 1.5K setup fee and ghost, we will lose you as a client. I will lose your referral and destroy our reputation in your network. It doesn't make sense at all. So I'd rather deliver the results to get you renewed. We want to renew you because we want to work with you long term and refer us onto other agencies so we can make money long term. Thirdly, here's what I can offer you: a milestone payment. Instead of paying everything up front, you pay 50% to cover the initial setup and 50% when we deliver the first qualified pre-vetted intro. That way, you're not just betting all on trust. We are incentivized to deliver fast so we get the second health. Does that address your concern, or is there something specific would make you feel more comfortable?
No, I think, as you mentioned, just being more involved in the process would really help. And I'm not sure if I would have the expertise at the time rather as well to be as involved as I would want to be. But if I can keep getting updates from you by email as well, I'd be very happy with that.
Yeah, perfect.
And on a similar note to ghosting, what they're actually worried about is not them, not responding to your emails. It's about their effort going in vain. It's their money going in vain. It's their upfront fee and everything working out. So a lot of the times client would really ask as well whether we give any guarantees. So Sean, how do we handle the guarantee objection?
Again, guarantees is another classic question that C-suite rules ask. So the best way to answer this is, first guarantee is if you don't receive at least 3 qualified intros in the first month, we'll extend work for free until you do. So intros are always guaranteed, no matter what. Second, our goal is to build a genuine partnership. If we help your company generate more revenue through successful placements, then we succeed too. We're fully aligned with your success, and it keeps things simple. We only win when you do.
Exactly. You just got to show them that you're in this with them, and you're not trying to take their money, run away, and then they mean nothing to you afterwards.
Yeah, and these are like some of the main objections you're going to get. So yeah, well, this is the first sales call, so there's a ton more objections that we're going to be going over on a weekly basis as well. So yeah, keep joining the sales calls, and if there's any questions, you can write into the skill community. And yeah, just like I said, just keep joining the sales calls. And if you do get on to a sales call with a client, then you can ask me any questions you'd like in the community, and I can help you with some email copies as well. Perfect. There don't seem to be any questions for now. So I'll see you next week, and thanks for joining.